Ever since Netflix released its adaptation of The Witcher, it's received a lot of mixed reviews from fans. One of the biggest reasons is its portrayal of the characters people have come to love in the books and games over the years. In today's video, we're going to talk about some of those characters who have been pretty underrated, and sometimes even overlooked in the show, but deserve to get more screen time. Let's talk about some underrated characters from the show, starting with Mother Nenneca. A crucial character in the books and games, Mother Nenneca shares a bond with our lead Geralt that can easily be called parental. This head priestess of the Temple Melitella is the closest person he has to a mother, and one of the key scenes they have is in the book, The Last Wish, where she removes Geralt's poor field stitchings and redoes them herself by hand. But in the show, that scene was replaced entirely in the episode Betrayer Moon, where Triss treated Geralt instead of Nenneca. Even the entire setting was off, which has riled up a lot of fans, and led them to state that Nenneca's arc in the show is super underrated. And that's not the only thing they're angry about. According to fans, the visual representation of herself and her temple are way off. A lot of people have even claimed that Nenneca's temple in the show looks like a Turkish tea house instead of a great religious relic belonging to a fantasy world. That sucks. And while we love Adjoa Ando and her portrayal of the High Priestess, even we agree that there's something lacking in her act. Maybe it's the accent, or maybe it's the overall representation of a character that's so rich and nuanced in the books. Guess we'll have to wait to see how the showrunners decide to take her arc forward. Let's hope they stick to the origins of the character this time. Then there's Vilgefortz. One of the most powerful characters in the book, Vilgefortz is a character who stood out for many fans and thus has had a special place in the fandom and in the Witcher universe. But in the show, let's just say he's not given the respect he deserves. Why? He's practically just a background noise compared to characters like Istrid, who aren't even as powerful or critical as Vilgefortz is to the source material. The show's gone as far as showing Istrid as more competent in combat in Season 2, while Cahir, poor guy, severely defeated Vilgefortz in Season 1's Battle of Sodden. Yeah, that's an underrated and underrepresented character right there. Remember how he literally demolished Geralt in the books at Thaned? Where is that guy, Netflix, and what have you done to him? Our only hope at this point is that there's a bigger character arc written for him in the future seasons, because having such an important character do next to nothing in the show is completely not okay. And next, we have Calantha. If there's one thing we appreciate about The Witcher, is its portrayal of complex female characters. That's been hugely missing in the fantasy genre, and now the show deserves applause for its powerful queens and warriors. Oh, wait, we're talking about the book, not the show. Not entirely, anyway. Because guys, the show really needs to up its game when it comes to its portrayal of its female characters, like Calantha, the Queen of Sintra. In the books, Calantha is an intelligent, manipulative queen, ruling her kingdom with intrigue and diplomacy. In the series, however, she seems like a watered-down version of her character in the book. Okay, yes, we know the videos started sounding like a book versus movie comparison, but guys, the Witcher universe is full of amazing warriors, strategists, and rulers, much like our queen here, but the way they're being portrayed is super underrated. And it's not like the actors are doing a bad job. Take Jodie May as an example. Her portrayal of Calantha is 5-star worthy, but that doesn't mean her character has reached its full potential yet. Calantha definitely needs more appreciation, but that'll only happen if we see her source material show up, and that hasn't happened yet. Maybe next season. Then we have Jaskier. This character is actually a special one, which is why we're going to pause our book versus show character comparison and use this time to appreciate the bard of the show, Jaskier. A great character, played by a great actor, Joey Beatty. Jaskier is one of our favorites from the show. Whether it's his puppy dog version of the character in Season 1, or the cynical, dark version in Season 2, we love both of them. In fact, in this case, the credit goes to Beatty as well, who's done his homework on Jaskier very well. Part of why we love this bard is because of his comedic timing, his songs, and his charisma. But let us tell you, that would probably not be possible without Joey Beatty. So, as much as we appreciate the underrated amazingness of Jaskier, here's a round of applause for Joey, who's given us a character we all agree is one of the best. We just wished he got more credit, just like the other great characters on the show. But seeing the kind of love he's been receiving on the internet, we see that happening sooner than we expected. Moving on to underrated moments from the show. Enough about the characters. While we agree that some of them are underrated due to being badly written, or maybe because they're awaiting their true fate in the story, we've also got a list of some underrated moments from the show that we just need to appreciate here. First on the list, Yennefer and the Eels. In a very shocking turn of events, at least for Yennefer, she had to face the destruction of her classmates as a test to prove her abilities as a sorceress. Okay, not destruction entirely, but if you had to be turned into an eel if you weren't qualified enough for graduation, destruction does seem like the right word to use. Anyway, the scene is a great show of acting, especially by Anya Kalatra, who, by accepting the tool from Tisaya to push her former classmates in the pool, became complicit in betraying them. Her acting acting in the scene was powerful enough to show us how great a sorceress she can be in the future. Then, there's the Geralt meeting Jaskier scene. Okay, wait, we know we're Jaskier fanboys, but really, this scene does have some underappreciated value to it, and that's the only reason we added it to this list. And it has Henry Cavill too, of course. But why we're calling this a very popular scene underrated is because the symbolism in it. We all know how good the bromance is between these characters, right? But you don't realize that when they meet. Their meeting was life-changing, guys. Despite being polar opposites, their friendship is one that we definitely envy. And that's why we think their first meeting is so important and underappreciated. It's the start of a great bromance, dudes. How is it not talked about enough? And speaking of first meetings, there's Geralt meeting Ciri for the first time. Guys, that embrace gave us life. We know how important Ciri is to Geralt, but their first meeting couldn't be more wholesome. The decades they spent being pulled together only to meet after Geralt invoking the law of surprise, the meeting is definitely one of the most underrated yet amazing scenes on the show. Sure, the timeline can be confusing for fans, but can we just blame the showrunners for that, right? In the meantime, let's appreciate Henry Cavill and Freya Allan's acting in the scene. Honestly, if it wasn't for these amazing actors giving us such great performances, this show was bound to be a flop. And last on our list is Then I Die, a scene that, for us, made Henry Cavill the man of the show. Remember that scene? Let's jog your memory. This one's a scene from Season 1's Episode 3, when Geralt is on one of his Monster of the Week quests and meets a group of miners about a monster who's plaguing their area. For us, the best part of the scene was after one of the miners asks him what would happen if he can't kill the monsters. Geralt replies, "Then I die." That split second of confusion on his face and the realization that his powers give him the ability to outlive monsters is why this scene is one of the most underrated ones out there. It's definitely one that shows Henry Cavill's acting chops, and the way he portrays Geralt's dry sense of humor in it is what caught us on to the show early on. Because guys, despite its subversion from the source material and the underrated treatment of important characters, The Witcher still remains a great show that can easily rival Game of Thrones. It's got action, comedy, great characters, and just the right amount of fantasy that all us Witcher book and game fans need. And plus point, its writer, Andrzej Sapkowski, has concluded the book series too, so there's no chance this one's going to turn our favorite characters into town-burning madness like a certain other fantasy show we all loved. And that's a wrap for this video. Who's your favorite character on The Witcher? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.